Right from my childhood, I am very much fascinated with films because whatever films I came across, I liked them. It was a period of somewhere around early 50s. And because I liked the films, I started gathering material on films. At that time, getting knowledge about film song was Radio Ceylon, sometimes Radio Pakistan, sometimes Radio Commercial Service of Goa, Radio Goa. And we used to, sometimes USA even, and we used to click the radio at the proper time and listen to various songs. Then slowly my interest started increasing in collecting songs. Then when I looked around, I saw film booklets are available in which all the songs are printed. So I started getting the booklets. In those days, sometimes booklets are being sold on the footpath of a roadside. Sometimes it was um, just outside the cinema theatre. And luckily, whatever I could lay my hands, I used to collect. Even at that time, there was a very much dearth of money. Being a student, we did not have pocket money. But somehow or the other, we could manage to collect 4 annas, 8 annas, 1 rupee, etc. And we used to bargain with the seller. अरे 1 रुपया देता हूँ, ये यहाँ 6-7 बुकलेट दे दो. In those days, they were being sold at 4 annas. It was its face value. So it went on like that. But in cities like, I basically belong to Kolhapur. In cities like Kolhapur, there was material available only about Marathi films. When I came to Pune, I came into contact with National Film Archive of India, where I could see lot of old Indian films as well as foreign films. And my vision towards the films, my approach towards films was broadened. Then I used to go to Mumbai also, where my relatives are still staying. And I used to go to Grand Road side, where many a times photographs and booklets and posters, etc. were being sold. Sometimes film magazines also. Just recently, film historian Firoz Rangunwala passed away. He was my mentor. And he guided me towards a dealer who used to sell booklets and posters and photos also.
This was in Bombay.
This was in Mumbai. And then whenever I used to go to him, either I used to go to his place to buy some material or Grand Road, and without getting some material, I never came back. So this is how it started. And whatever is good, whatever was old, I used to collect. And this is how my collection started. At the same time, whenever any book used to come in the market, I used to buy it. Sometimes I used to go to Mumbai footpath, where old books were being sold. There I collected some of the books. And this is how my collection also started increasing. After going through the books, after going through the film magazines, after going through the material that I had collected, and interaction with various film personalities, because Rangunwala used to direct me towards film personalities and I used to interview them. persons like Ruby Myers and Sora Modi, Surendra, Vijay Bhatt, and many others, Madhural Master, the very old music director of 1930s. I used to interview them and get the knowledge. Sometimes National Film Archive of India used to give me letters. I used to contact them and get interviews. Get them recorded, and a copy of that I used to deposit in the archive. When archive had no program of oral interview, I have initiated that. So this is how, and I started getting knowledge because of going through the books and because of meeting various film personalities. And then suddenly, I don't know, people started calling me film historian. So this is how is the background of all my collections, and I still wonder why I am called film historian. Because there are many other persons who had got a lot of knowledge. In the film archive itself, I met Dilip Sarkar, the son of founder member of New Theatres. When I had an opportunity to go to Calcutta, I contacted him, and he introduced me towards R.C. Goral, Pankaj Malik, Kanan Bala, DG, and V.N. Sarkar himself. And then I had a very, very warm talk with him. Nitin Bose I met in Mumbai itself. So, gathering material and keeping that in mind, and sometimes thinking independently about it. Why this has happened, why this has not happened, that led me to get my knowledge, and then the people, and because of all such things, many fresh people started pressing me to write about my knowledge. For example, if so and so person expired, they used to telephone me, these local Pune people, Pune press people, they used to telephone me and insisted upon writing articles on it. In such case, I came across lot many good material, such as very rare booklets and booklets of silent cinema also sometimes. I used to admire the efforts taken by Dada Damle, Anantrao Damle, Prabhat Sparta's son, who had taken a lot of troubles to get back the films, not only that, but then gather allied literature on Prabhat. So, if I happen to get something which is not available with them, I used to give it them. I used to buy it in the market and give it to them. Color Film Serenri's Hindi booklet. I got it in Mumbai, I gave it to him. Silent film made by Prabhat. Not a single booklet was available with Damle Sahib. I gave whatever I could trace. And with Damle family, I know 4 generations. I have contact with 4 generations with Damle family. And I still feel that I am one of their family members. So passing on my record to them, I didn't feel anything awkward. I felt okay, it is in my house only, even if it is at Damle's place. Unfortunately, after the expiry of Anantrao Damle. The bag of booklets which he used to keep outside, it, I won't say it is stolen, but it is not, it is misplaced. It is not being located anywhere in their house. And whatever rare material I had given, that is all lost. Basically, I am from Kolhapur, and Baburao Painter's daughters, two daughters, were my classmates. When I was in Kolhapur, I did not know anything about Baburao Painter, because that time he had left filmmaking, and he used to make statues, etc., make portraits. And that is why I did not know anything about his contribution. Whether he was in films at all, I did not. Later on, when I gathered knowledge about the films, I found that this man has done mountainous work. It is far, far, far more than his contemporaries, even his early predecessors. And then I started getting information about Baburao Painter, and still I find that in those days, whatever he has done, nobody else could have done. That way, he was very great, and he has many, many things to his credit. He introduced for the first time. I also came to know when I was interviewing Shantaram and Dhaibar. Dhaibar I interviewed at Damle's place only, Shantaram at Rajkamal. They told me that Baburao Painter was such a person, an idealistic person. If he determines to do anything, he will do it. For example, he has made his own indigenous camera, for which Damle and several other people helped him. What he used to do is, even a simple toy, which is being put to work with some gimmick, some key, etc., he used to break it open, see what are the details in it, and then rearrange it in such a way that it was as good as an original one. And this is how he, while making camera also, he did in the same way. He bought a camera in Chor Bazar in Mumbai and opened it, thoroughly, very carefully opened it, and then saw where are the wheels, what are their functions, and how can we make the wheels. And he used to draw the picture, and wheel is of this size, and another wheel is of this size, third wheel is of this size, and lens is here. Oh, the gap between wheels and lens is so much, so many intricacies. And then he took all these people as assistant. They were not paid employees. They were not given a single paisa also. They used to just work there. But Baburao Painter was a very, very tedious filmmaker. When he started making any film, he used to have complete scenario in his hand. And then even the camera movement also, he used to predetermine from which angle the camera should be. Why it is not in a particular place and why it should be in a particular place. All those minute details he used to see himself. In those days there was no soundproof studio, and they used to have a very big pandal, even bracket only, and steel bars were there, and on those bars, on the top of it, they used to have some white cloth, and it used to um, move in such a way that whenever sunlight comes, they used to move it, and on the sunlight they used to do shooting. Direct sunlight on the artist he used to have,
Yeah.
and from that he used to do shooting. The artificial lights he used was for the film Simagad. That was Simagad was the first film where artificial lights were used um, while shooting.
It was it was a night sequence where they used
Yes.
arc lights. Yeah.
No, they were not arc, maybe arc lights. I don't know exactly, because only they say artificial lights were being used. Whether they were that time arc lights were available or also, that is also a question of doubt. We had a lot of film pioneers. In Calcutta, we had Shiralal Sen. In south side, I think one Mr. Mudliar was there. In Calcutta itself, Madan Theatres was there. In Mumbai, we had Imperial Film Company, etc., etc. In Bangalore, we had Suri Film Company during silent days. But first filmmaker in India was Dada Saheb Torne, whose film was released in 1912. And after 1 year, almost after 1 year, Dada Saheb Phalke's Raja Harishchandra was released in 1930. Unfortunately, today we don't have Raja Harishchandra, which was released in 1913, is available. Because whatever we have is a remake of Raja Harishchandra in 1970. And even archive, while releasing the DVD of 2-3 films, Raja Harishchandra was included in that, and they said it in 1913. They also themselves did not know about it. Torne's enterprise was a unique enterprise. Somehow he gathered the information how to make films, made lot of troubles, faced lot of troubles, lot of labor, and somehow or other he could make a film, and it was released. Of course, no one in this present generation has seen the film, but I got an article written by Nanasaheb Sarpotdar that he had seen the film, and he admits that it was a film. Today, many people unnecessarily say that it was a stage talkie or it was photographed by a foreign cameraman, and it was processed in London, etc. That is why it is not a, or it is a stage talkie. That is why it is not a film. But in Dada Saheb Torne's one of the articles, he has written that he did background shooting. Had it been stage talkie, how can background shooting come, outdoor shooting would come? Second point is, it is photographed by a foreigner. In Bombay Talkies, lot many films were photographed by Joshipir Singh, who was a German. Are these all German films? Third thing, it is processed in London. most of the technicolor films made in India, such as Aan, Ganga Jamuna, Mother India, and various others, Sangam, they were all processed in technical laboratories. Are they all Indian films or foreign films?
Or Prabhat Silently was processed in Germany.
Prabhat Sairandri also was processed in Germany. Can you call all these foreign films? Then why only about Torne? Another point. It was based on a drama. And that in those days, drama used to start. Stage play used to start around 9 o'clock, and it used to stop around 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the next morning. Such was the timeline. And this film was only of 20 minutes. Naturally, based on the drama, one has to do screenplay, one has to do editing. All these aspects are coming only in films, not otherwise. Then how do you claim that it was not the feature film? Anyway, it's a matter of debate. People go on debating unnecessarily. After Torne, what he has done was, after making the film, there was a lot of loan he has taken, and he had to repay the loan. At the same time, he was working somewhere in Greaves Cotton Company. They transferred him to Karachi. So his association with filmmaking was abruptly stopped. But there also, he took Baburao Pai's help. Baburao Pai was just a newcomer at the time, just graduated, and started film distribution office. That was the first film distribution office in India way back in 1914.
Was it famous, or it was before?
No,
It was some other company.
no. He started with some other company, and later on it was merged with Famous. He renamed it as Famous. And Baburao Pai started his career in Karachi along with Torne. By the time, after some 2-3 years, of course, in the next very year, Phalke made his film, and continuously he started Film Factory only. One after another, he used to make films, and other studios also started making films. When Torne saw that there is very good chance of having this film industry getting established in India, he resigned from his job at Karachi, came to Mumbai. There he made a film by name Prithvi Vallabh, in which he introduced 2-3 new faces. Bhaji Pendarkar was one. Secondly, some more persons were there. Even the heroine of Alamara, Zubeda, was introduced by Dadasaheb Torne only.
And this was in Royal Art Company, or Prithvi Vallabh?
Yeah,
This was in Royal Art Company.
possible. And then in Mumbai, he came to know that Baburao Painter made a camera, and he had a very strong desire to see that. So he went all the way to Kolhapur, and during a discussion, Baburao Painter offered him a job, and he started continuing there itself. He did not go back to Mumbai. Baburao Painter was making films one after another. He gathered Baburao Pendarkar was his manager. And, and Baburao Pai was distributing all these films for exhibiting, etc. Thereafter, Baburao Pendarkar started also acting in films. Slowly, he gathered a lot of persons. I told you, Namle was there very much. Sahib Mama Fatehra also joined. Because of Baburao Pendarkar, his cousin V. Shantaram, he also joined. Sarpotara was there. Torne also was there. And lot many other local people, Bala Sahib Yadav was there, Ranu Sahib was there, Sushila Devi
In
was
one
there.
sense, the pioneers of the sort of golden period of Marathi early talkies were all there coming from Maharashtra Film Company.
Yeah. Baburao Pendarkar took all these persons and trained them properly. And in whatever faculty they wanted to work, he gave a free hand to them. That is why these people got information and detailed information, so to say, because of the freedom given to them. And sometimes they used to write screenplays, sometimes they used to do photographs, sometimes they used to engage in editing, various other things. But Baburao Pendarkar never stopped anyone. This is how, after learning filmmaking, Shantaram and Dabar could venture to make Netaji Palkar, the first very directorial film of both these people. And Damle and Fatehla did Karna, the True Battler. Both the films became very hit. And then they got more confidence. Unfortunately, Baburao Pendarkar did not offer them another film. That is why these people were disappointed. Not only that, but then he employed persons like Baburao Patel from outside and gave them fat salaries. Because of all these things, the persons in the company like Shantaram, Damle, Fatehla, etc., they became very nervous and they started thinking of forming another company. Damle and Fatehla wanted to do one company and Damle and Fatehla wanted to do another company. And discussions were going on to form the companies. Once Baburao Pendarkar suggested him, why are you doing two companies? Why don't you come together and make one company itself? Because of your coming together, your films will be more strong. They will have more depth in it. They agreed. Only finance was the problem. That they could get solved. And this is how Prabhat Film Company was formed on 1st June 1929 in Kolhapur. They made 6 silent films. After that, talk era started. Initially, some small kids were being recorded and shown, like somebody is dancing, somebody is making a concert song. Baithak ki jagah naam, one to three. Somebody is doing some magic. Somebody is doing a lecture. All these small things were being shown in the theatre. But first feature film came in 1931, Alamara. And then, perhaps you may not know, that persons like Charlie Chaplin world famous director and actor. He was opposing to talkie cinema because he said, no, talkies will remain for some time. Again, it will go back to silent cinema. In the same way, V. Shantaram gave an interview in which he said, nowadays new fads have come in the film industry. They are making talkie films. Like other fads, this also will go away and silent cinema will still emerge. But later on, he himself found that talkie is going to stay on, and he made As It's Alive, for which talkie machinery was provided to him by Dadasaheb Torne. Not only that, but then he provided talkie machinery to Ranjit Film Company and several other film companies in Mumbai, and also Pravas Film Company.
So Torne seems like this interlocutor who is looking at the business side of things as well as the creative side.
Perhaps you may not know that Phalke had a branch office, brand studio in Pune, near Sarasbagh, Adambagh as it was called at that time. After some 3-4 years, he stopped that. And then there was a proposal. Nanasaheb Sarpotdar gave him proposal to work together, but he did not agree to it. So he said, let the studio be given to me. So he got that studio and he named that one as Aryan Film Company and made quite a number of silent films. In one of the films, persons like Lalita Pawar was introduced. So it was going on. There was one Mr. Agarwal also in Pune.
Agarwal Film Company.
She also made 2-3 films. And
Gallant Hearts.
Gallant Hearts.
Dilip Jigar. Yeah.
He also made a couple of films. And when talkie era started, Torne approached Sarpotdar to make talkie films. But Sarpotdar was fed up at that time because perhaps he must have sustained losses while making films. He said, I am no more interested in making films. I want to do something else. Then he said, Torne said, okay, give me the studio. And then he bought the studio and he made Saraswati Senatum over there. Even the hero of their first film, Shyam Sundar, Shahu Modak, was actually located by Nanasaheb Sarpotdar for one of the films. And then when they came to know that Sarpotdar is no more making a film, the director, Balaji Pendarkar, it was his first talkie, Torne, and somebody else, a third person was there. These 3 persons went to Ahmednagar and met Shahu Modak's father, Reverend Modak, was a Christian. And he said, we want to make a film on Lord Krishna and we want your son to act as Balakrishna. He said, I am a Christian. How can you take me to work as a god, of Hindu god? He says, that doesn't matter. We shall do it. So this is how he was selected. But it was originally selected by Nanasaheb Sarpotdar. Same way the heroine, Shanta Apte. Shanta Apte used to stay in Pandharpur at that time. and she was learning classical music. Through somebody, they approached her, and she immediately agreed to work in Hindi and Marathi version of Shyam Sundar. One more interesting story I can tell you. When both Hindi and Marathi versions were released on the same very day in Pune, there was a Sri Krishna theatre which was situated as a part of Khasgiwale's Wada. Their Marathi version was released, and just opposite that Wada there was Glove Theatre. Their Hindi version was released, and Torne felt that Pune people, spectators from Pune, they may not come for Hindi version because they will always prefer to go to Marathi version. So just to attract them, what should be done? So Shanta Apte was asked to go to the theatre and sing songs from that film openly, so that people can come and see the film. So perhaps this may be a unique occasion that heroine himself is singing and asking people to come. But that was the situation. And Torne, in 1933, Torne made, Torne found that this Adabak studio was very much insufficient, inadequate for him to work with. So he built a complete studio, soundproof studio in Pune, much earlier to Prabhat Film Company. There he made a couple of films. And in 1933, of course, the studio construction of Prabhat also started, and Torne helped him, helped Damle also at that. How should be the studio, what should be acoustics and all, many other things. And of course, Damle was basically an engineer, although he was not much illiterate person. He gathered so much knowledge on all varieties, on various facets of not only filmmaking but construction of studios. It is said that the wiring that he has done, how he has done it underground, even today also nobody is able to find out. The water connections that he has given, they were also all underground. Nobody is able to see where from the water comes. Such a brilliant and intelligent approach here. Saraswati Cinetone made a couple of films, and somewhere in 1941-42 it closed down, and the studio was taken up by somebody else. Prabhat Film Company came to Pune in 1934 and worked up to 1954-55, 10-11 years, no, 20 years. And then, because of various reasons, it had to close down. Around 50 films they made, Hindi version, Marathi version, Telugu version, Telugu or Tamil version. And Marathi films, when Shantaram was there, V. Shantaram was there, he used to direct most of his films. His films used to have a social theme many times. Forget about the films about the silent era. But his talkie films, Dharmatma onwards rather, even Amritman, the very first film which Prabhat made in Pune, That also indirectly gave a social message. Don't kill animals for the sake of religion. Second film, Dharmatma, that also was a social subject
On untouchable.
on untouchability. All human beings are equal. Nobody is untouchable. And then he had to face lot of censor problems. It was released with the name Mahatma in Hindi and Dharmatma in Marathi. Then, of course, Kunku, Shezari, Manus, everybody knows how great films they were.
But why Mahatma in Hindi and why Dharmatma in Marathi?
No, in those days there was a British censors, and there were some persons, some educationists, etc. They were the censorship members of the censor board, and at many different places there were different censor boards. In Maharashtra, they linked the word Mahatma to Mahatma Gandhi. That is why they objected to that, to the tattoo. Outside Maharashtra, they never objected it. So it went on like that only. At the same time, Prabhat gave an opportunity to direct film by other partners also, except Sitaram Kulkarni,
Was a sleeping
because he was not a creative or active partner. Diaper directed a film, but it collapsed at the box office.
Rajput Raman.
Rajput Raman. He insisted upon Damle Patela to do the film. In fact, Bapurao Painter has started, he wished that he would make a film on Tukaram. He would make a film on Tukaram, and he started, in those days they used to do rehearsals. But in between it stopped. I mean, the company wound up. He also resigned from
You mean the San
Maharashtra.
Tukaram was meant to be in Maharashtra Film Company and the
Yes.
rehearsals had started. And the rehearsals had started in Maharashtra
He
Film
also
Company.
started, but in between, because of differences, Bapurao Painter left Maharashtra Film Company. That is why that film did not take place at all. And Damle Patela were knowing that. So they said, okay, this is a good subject, we'll do it. Just coincidentally, one incident happened. Every day evening, all the Prabhat partners used to stay at Damle's place. Outside the Damle Bangalore, there is still a cement table and chairs, etc. That is the place where they used to sit. And over a cup of tea, they used to discuss what has happened in the studio today and what is going to happen and what are the further plans. And just at that time, Sahib Mama inspired one Abhang of Tukaram. They said, hey, it's a very good subject. Shanta said, what are you talking? Can this be a subject for making films? Films on sense will not be a box office hit? I don't think. And then Damle Patela took a challenge. So we are going to make a film. Mihandra said, okay, do it. And what the film was made, and we have seen how great it was. With no big budget, very, very small budget. Perhaps no outdoors also. Because whatever outdoor we are seeing, that is there in the studio itself. And with very, very low cost of production, the film was made. and it made a great success. But then he was undaunted. He said, okay, here they have made a film, I also will continue to make it. Then he made Manus and then Shezari. Manus means army and Shezari means Pados. Damle and Fatehlal made another films like Gopal Krishna and Naneshwar and Sant Sapho, etc. And because of differences, Shantaram had to leave Prabhat. And this was a tremendous shock on Damle. And he became ill. And in 1944, Shantaram left in 1942, I suppose. And Damle expired in 1944. Until the time both these were there, Damle and Fatehlal, Damle and Shantaram, Prabhat used to make very good films. They had Marathi culture impact in those films. And that is why people in Maharashtra used to very strongly support. When Shantaram left, when Daibar left, Daibar had to leave because of some indifferences, and Baburao Pai was taken as a partner. And he used to keep quiet because before Shantaram, he could not say anything. When Shantaram left, he took over a charge of film production, and then then Fatehlal remained backward. And what he did was he started making films in Hindi. Earlier there were double versions. Most of them had double versions.
Bilinguals.
Hindi and Marathi. And when Baburao Pai started making films, took over to make films, he called persons from Mumbai, persons like Jairaj and Paray Banerjee, Rose, many others, Sitara Devi, etc., etc. And he started making films in Hindi. Unfortunately, his Hindi film did not find good patronage. And after the demise of Vishnupant Damle, his son Anand Damle was considered as a legal inheritor, and he used to visit Prabhat studios. And both Fatehlal and Ananta Damle did not like the way in which Prabhat films were being done in India in those days. Of course, in those days, Prabhat had introduced stalwarts like music director Shyam Sundar, Husnulal Bhagat, or artists like Gurudutt and Devanand, Kamala Kotnis, so and so forth. But in any case, the films did not give a good result. And Prabhat was going down and down and down financially. So a day came when Sahib Mama Fatehlal filed a petition and requested the courts to liquidate the company. And in 1955, the shutters of Prabhat were closed. Prabhat also had introduced good artists right from the first of it. Govindrao Tenve, for example. He came basically to compose music for the film. But just coincidentally, he became the hero. He was a very well learned person. he was the author of several dramas. He had his own drama company. The heroine of the film, Durga Kote, she was also came from a respectable family. In the beginning of Indian cinema, there were persons like Tawayab and co-dancer and prostitutes, etc., etc. And film medium was looking down like anything. Even sometimes people used to say, we will do prostitution rather than acting in cinema. This was the case. And later on, when Baburao Painter started offering, requesting ladies to come to join cinema and started offering them good roles, slowly people started believing, okay, film studios are, and working in films is not that bad as we are thinking.
The perception was changing.
Yes. And this is how slowly the educated persons like Jayaraj, Surendra, they started entering in cinema. Persons like Mama Varelkar. While writing about Surendra, they used to write Surendra, B-A-L-L-D. Jayaraj was brother of late Sarojini Naidu, a great patriot and poet. And there were quite a number of them. And later on, people started, educated persons started coming in, who had a knowledge of good languages, who had a knowledge of good music. They used to sing themselves. And Prabhat also, Prabhat and Torne gave quite a number of good artists. In fact, Torne used to introduce an artist in his Saraswati Cineton, and later on Prabhat used to pick them up and make them popular all over India.
Right, like Shahu Modak was in Shyam Sundar, or Shantapte was again in Shyam Sundar, and both of them.
Not only the Shahu Modak and Shantapte, but even Ratnamala, Shanta Hoglikar. Many artists were introduced by Dada Saheb Torne, and they were picked up. Even Jayasri, Shantaram married with her later on. Jayasri was basically came to Pune to act in Saraswati Cineton's film. About Bhaji Pendarkar, I can say that he started his career with Baburao Painter. There was a film by name Markandeya, for which he was doing the screenplay. The screenplay was ready and the shooting started. But all of a sudden, all vestige quota of films caught fire. And Marathi Film Company was all surrounded by the flames.
This was 1922, I believe, somewhere around there.
Exact year I don't remember, but then perhaps it may be. And then what was done first time was that the camera was thrown in the water pond so that it can be saved from the fire. And then some persons were engaged in saving the film's negatives and positives, etc., etc. But that was shock to all of them. And then Baburao Painter felt, okay, this film is unfortunate for us. will drop the back. So Balaji Pendarkar's first film itself was dropped. Then he got a break as as an actor as well as makeup man in Prithvi Ballabh,
Tornes film.
Tornes. After that, he formed his own company, Vande Mataram Film Company, and made a film by name Vande Mataram Ashram.
Yes, that is something I wanted to ask. Vande Mataram Ashram.
Vande Mataram Ashram was the name of the film, in which both Babura Pendarkar and Balaji Pendarkar were to act in the main lead. And it was shown to the censor for 4 times, and 4 times it was rejected. And it was cut in so small pieces. Whatever remained was only a few pieces here and there. I don't know whether the film was released at all. Lokmanya Tilak's Kesari, who was hardly writing anything about cinema, he had taken special pains to write about it. It was not a film review, but it was something pertaining to Vande Mataram Ashram. Thereafter, Bhaji started working in talkie films. Shyam Sundar was the first one. He made a couple of films for Saraswati Cineton. He directed. He was a screenplay writer, dialogue writer, lyricist, as well as director of the film. He acted in only a very few films, not 2 or 3 films in his total span of about 60 years. Thereafter, he made a couple of films in Pune itself. He made Arun Film Company, famous Arun Film Company, and he directed 1 or 2 films here and there. I think Netaji Palkar, Sasurvas, etc. were made during that period. Then in 1943 he went to Kolhapur. In fact, he started Kolhapur Cineton along with the partnership of Babura Pendarkar, and he made a couple of films over there. Then he left and came to Pune. Again we went back and started Prabhakar Pictures. And then he never left Kolhapur. He was making films one after another. Sometimes bilinguals, sometimes only Hindi, sometimes only Marathi. And he made his own impact through his films.
He was very rooted in his religious identity.
Yes, he used to love for the country, for his own language, and in his films he used to preach all that. His films used to start with Maharashtra song, Bahu Asoto Sundar Sampanna Kema Priya Mocha Eka Maharashtra Desha. So there itself one can know. Of course, he made social films. No doubt he made historical films. Once I asked Sohrab Modi, you are making historical films and social films. So also Babura Pendarkar, so also Balaji Pendarkar. What difference do you make? He said, my films are gorgeous, but his films are more authentic. Every word that was shown in his film was authentic. Sometimes my films are not. Coming back to Master Vinayak, he was V. Shantaram's cousin, and he used to initially do teaching in Kolhapur. And of course, Prabhat Film Company was also in Kolhapur at that time. Shantaram said, why don't you join us? Which Master Vinayak liked. Even Petkar also was a teacher over there.
Yashwant Petkar.
Yashwant Petkar. And then once he decided to leave his teaching job and join cinema. There also, while making the last lecture, he told students, I am a teacher over here, but I am going to teach in cinema medium. The medium is different, but my role will be of a teacher forever. And that he followed. Very religiously he followed it. Because I would say he was a revolutionary filmmaker. Whatever films he made, there was never vulgarity in it. Of course, and he was quite a daring person. Even showing Meenakshi in swimming suit way back in 1938. That is something which was not a small thing. Even perhaps you may not know that he did kissing also shots in some of his films. I think Lagna Pago Karo.
Lagna Pago. Yeah. Lagna Pago.
But then the subjects that he dealt with, they were all, most of them were far ahead of his time. In Brahmachari, you will find Jhadalawa, Jhadalawa. In Randiji Batli, Darubandi. See, these subjects are live even today. Now we are finding there are only cement jungles and the government is trying to plant more and more trees. But in 1938, Master Vinayak did it. Today, we see that film shops are banned by the local people, which Master Vinayak did in his own time.
Randiji Batli also was made in prohibition, right?
Yes.
It was important, I guess, to make such a
Yes,
film.
it's very
Because it was a compulsion on the studios.
Even Premveer, a film like Premveer, for example, there he presented politician in such a way that we later on find it like that. In those days, luckily for us, there were some booklets having full dialogues with songs, etc. From that one can make out how detailed they used to go, how intricate they used to do.